Good morning, everyone. We're back in the garage doing another install. Now it's pretty early for me. I've been working on the house all weekend, so I'm exhausted. But I thought we'd wake up. We put a video out. Something that I have to do to the car. It's slightly important. Something you guys can do to your car if you want to get rid of that fake sound from that Symposer tube. In our case, we're gonna move on to an oil separator. So I bought a Symposer that has the valve barb so that we can get our oil separator, because it will run into that little manifold spot. If you have a stock Focus ST, I have a little something kinda that you guys can mess around with, something to goof around with, give your car a little extra sound on the inside that probably none of your friends will know, make your car sound a little cooler. But I mean, if you have an exhaust and intake, it's pointless to have that Symposer tube. So we're gonna set up, we're gonna pop the hood. This should be a quick install. It was cheap, maybe about 40 bucks. But we're gonna get started on it. Hopefully we'll have some fun with it. Now I went ahead and I bought the Steeda Symposer. There's a couple companies that make, I know, like Boomba, Steeda, there's a couple of other brands that I'm not familiar with, but I bought the Steeda one because it has the port so that we can do our oil separator. Now these are really basics. I mean, it comes with a plug so that up in the near our cab we can plug that off. Comes with a zip tie so you can take that harness, get it out of the way so it doesn't drop down into your shift linkage. Now it comes with a plug or a barb. Now the barb will be for when we install our oil separator, and the plug's what we'll use right now, or they make one that's just a straight aluminum piece so you don't need to buy a plug. Alright, so this Steeda one, it's billet aluminum. It has a little groove for our O-ring. We're going to use the factory bolts, and then our plug goes right in there. Now if you're not going to do an oil separator, you can follow the instructions. They make one that's just a straight plug, and it's probably not going to focus on it, but they make one that's just a solid piece where you won't need this little hole. And of course we have our O-ring. Of course the O-ring goes into here. But we're going to start. We're going to take this off, give ourselves some room. Alright, so where we're working here is we're going to take this tube out, which I painted mine silver because at the time, you know, it had to be in there. I thought I would just paint it to help, you know, make it look better. But what I originally did is the valve, the big block that comes right in here. Now a little trick if you want to have some fun with your friends, or you just want to hear a little extra noise while you're driving, is delete that valve. What I did was I took the valve out. It's only held on by like a Torx 20 screw. Unscrew it and just link the two tubes together. I believe I just used a piece of like PVC that fit in them and glued them together, and just run a straight tube right from your manifold right into your cab. Now if you have any mods, the Symposer is not going to sound good. I mean, it's probably not going to make any noise at all, but if you want to have some fun on your stock Focus, take out that valve. That thing will be open all the time, be throwing some sound into your cab, fool your friends into thinking your engine's a lot bigger than it really is, but it's just something stupid to do. But for now, we gotta take all that stuff out. I probably won't show you how to take out the valve because mine's already gone and I honestly don't know where it is. The thing we're gonna start with is we're gonna take this tube off. Just give it a wiggle, it'll come off. And then up in here, we're going to take this tube off. Now, we need that piece right there. So what we have to do is take this off. The plug goes in here, and then we can toss this. So we're going to go back in. We're going to grab the rest of the tube. So here's where most people will have to take out their valve cover. Now the valve switch, whatever it's called, it'll sit down in here. Now if you have your stock intake tube, it'd be a lot easier to get to, but you can take your battery cover off. It's one Torx screw, I believe, that goes right in here. Take it off, and it basically pulls out. Now there will be a harness in there, which it's really hard to see, but my harness is right there, and that's what this applied zip tie is for. Is you want to get that out of the way so it doesn't drop into your shift linkage, screw all kinds of things up. But once you take that out, zip tie that off, we're all set to start installing our Symposer. So what we need to do now, and I believe it's an 8mm socket according to the instructions, we need to take this bolt out, then there's a bolt here, and a bolt there. And then this whole thing will come out, and we need to use these two factory bolts. There we go. But I have some oil in this thing already. Now I'm sure they manufactured this somehow to capture that, because I mean there isn't any in here where the tube goes. So I'm sure there's something in here that helps with that. But with our oil separator, it would help get rid of this. Now I don't know the statistics on if we're gonna plug this, what's gonna happen when all that extra oil gets stuffed in there. You're on your own with that one. But the idea is, we're going to get rid of all this. I might take this apart, so at the end of the video, stay tuned. I'll take this apart, and I'll show you what's inside here, and maybe that'll help explain why the oil doesn't transfer into all that other good stuff. But we're going to install our O-ring that's supplied with it. Take our factory bolts. We're going to install our supplied plug, which is just an Allen key. I'm not gonna over tighten this thing and kill it. It's tight. Alright, so we're gonna start with one bolt because I'm really good at losing stuff. But there's no washers or anything. Now we have a little more space, our socket will fit. Get it nice and snug. Alright, now remember, if you're taking off the valve thing that's back there, make sure you zip tie that harness off. It's really hard to see, but your shift linkage is right there. And that harness cable, if it's just hanging loose, that's where it's going to end up. Especially in my cases of bad luck, that's exactly where that's going to end up. Now the last thing that we can't forget is to put our plug back in. Now that little hole right there, so basically we're going to put that plug in, plugs it off, we're going to put this back in the hole up there, and we're done. Now, if you're paranoid like me, I feel like that's going to come out. But I've finagled with it for quite a bit. I think it's going to stay. But that's it. That was as simple as it's going to get. Now we're all prepped. We're ready to get our oil separators. If you stick around for the end of this video, I'll show you what's inside that Symposer. Might surprise us. I'm not sure. I haven't taken it apart yet. I hope you guys stick around because on Wednesday, we're going to talk about those brake lights. Those brake lights. Hope you guys stick around. Hope you like, subscribe, share these videos. Sharing is like the best thing that we can do in this community of our focus fanatics out there. All this cool stuff you can learn, get ideas. I'm going to shut up now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Now, if you guys stuck around this long, you're awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. But for my little research here, that's the part that goes into our manifold. Don't mind all my garbage over there. We've been doing some house stuff. But that's the side that goes to the manifold. That's the side that produces sound. Now this, to me, is already working like a little catch can. We do have some oil kind of in there. And then the sound, I'm not exactly sure how the sound gets over there. I believe that plastic, it seals off with a piece of rubber. Gets muffled like a son of a bitch. But here was our little rubber piece. Went on right there. This capped it off. So to me, I mean, there's oil up in there. So these little rubber flaps must open. I mean, they seal down in. I'm not exactly sure. You know, I'm gonna go to the dealership and ask because I'm curious now. I'm going to do some research. To me, it kind of seems like they're using it as a catch can, but also saying you can get some sound out of it. So if you're extremely worried about the oil and just plugging it off, hey man, leave that on until you get yourself an oil catch can. We'll see you guys in the next video.